My name is Alexander Zimin. I'm a naturopathic doctor, and today I will be covering a very important herb. It's widely used in Russia, and what to say about all the peculiarities of these herbs. Pennycress, Latin name Thlaspi arvense, family Brassicaceae. Why I just wrote this on here? Because we sometimes focus on the family of the herb, because from this we can elicit a lot of information about how it really works. For example, Brassicaceae. It's very useful. It's very known that it can have an impact of endocrine function. So it's very useful to know the family of the herb. So the second thing, main properties. The first is anti-inflammatory. Almost every herb has anti-inflammatory properties, and here also not exception. And knowing this mechanism, we can just know what the useful indications. So the second is hormonal regulating. It's very interesting that in herbs, hormonal regulation is associated with beta substances in herb. So here, beta substances is processed by gastrointestinal bacteria. That's why we also focus on functioning of your gut, and we apply sometimes a herb with anti-inflammatory properties that makes your gut working really effective. So how it really works? For example, we have a cell, and these beta substances, they have an effect on this cell, and as an outcome, these cells releasing neurotransmitters and endocrine-like molecules. So it's like an example, you just can imagine, for example, you've taken occasionally a lot of pepper in your mouth, and after that you've got a lot of saliva in your mouth. So it's just as an example how it works here. Okay, knowing the exact mechanism of action, now I can tell you about indication. First of all, uterine fibroids. It's a benign tumor that can be stimulated not only by estrogen, as we know, but also by metabolites of estrogen, and mostly it can be stimulated by xenoestrogen. And xenoestrogen, they like environmental toxins. It's overall burden of toxins in our food, in our water, etc. So, uterine fibroids. As we know, the standard treatment, 3 options only. So first is synthetic hormones. The second, surgery, when this uterine fibroids is stimulated and is becoming large. And the third is observation. But instead of observation, you can just apply Pennycress. And also I want to say about synthetic hormones. They have side effects. First of all, they can lead to imbalance of endocrine hormones in your body. So, and also it can be very bad for your liver, so liver dysfunction. And the third is thrombosis. And I want to say that instead of conventional approaches, naturopathic approaches have something new. Natural organic herbs, they can have an impact on endocrine function, and especially on growing of uterine fibroids in terms of decrease of stimulation. The second, hepatoprotective herbs. Why these herbs are so crucial? Because estrogen is degraded in hepa, and all metabolic pathways occur in hepa. So it's very important to apply hepatoprotective herbs. And also I very like the combination of herbs, because when you have one herb, it's only one action. But when you combine, you mix them, you got another results. I like this combination of Pennycress with Artilia secunda. It's very useful, very widely known herb, with Vipus baglus, Latin name Acuum, And the third is Gromwell. A Latin name is Lithospermum. So all these three combinations is quite good. The second indication is the stimulation of menstrual cycle, dysmenorrhea. But here's a huge difference in terms of half of menstrual cycle. So here, uterine fibroids. We apply this herb only at the second half of menstrual cycle, because in the first half of menstrual cycle is associated with estrogen. That's why we shouldn't apply this herb at the first half. And in case of dysmenorrhea, we apply this herb only in the first half of menstrual cycle, mostly. Of course, there can be some combinations and some deviations from this rule, but overall picture, the overall rule is so. So the next indication is birth control pills. In terms of, I would say that after a long period of taking birth control pills, there is a huge imbalance in endocrine function, and we apply this herb in order to, to restore endocrine balance. The next indication is adnexitis. Why adnexitis? Because, as I said earlier, anti-inflammatory effects of this herb is substantial, and that's why we apply in this herb in this condition. So how to use? Infusion 1:50 ratio. So I want to emphasize that overall ratio is 1:50. Infusion, you can infuse it for 5 or 10 minutes. It can be enough for an effect. The second principle is incremental increase. Why incremental? Because firstly, we take the minimal dose, and after that, we increase this dose, and we try to find the effective dose. So that's why it's incremental increase. And the third is best combinations. Best combination of this herb, and especially in gynecological practice, is with suppositories. And these suppositories also can be made with the use of herbs. And also the maximal efficacy we have when we take all anti-inflammatory herbs per rectum. Because when we apply this per rectum, we have sufficient amount of remedy, of this herbal remedy in small pelvis. And this sufficient amount can have an impact on organs or in a small pelvis. So that is the overall principle. And of course, I should say about contraindications. And because every herb has its own contraindications. The first is hormone replacement therapy, and the second is breastfeeding. Why? Because these conditions, in these conditions, there are imbalance of endocrine function, and we shouldn't apply our herb in this condition. So that's all for this herb. If this information is interesting for you, you can press subscribe button and follow my channel in order to see the next videos about medical herbs.